Hi everyone, welcome back to the Destination Baby and Kids YouTube channel. This is Gina. I am super excited to be here with you today to go over some strollers that I think are worth comparing because they're in sort of a similar category. So we want to make sure that when we talk about one stroller, we're not comparing something in a vacuum and only talking about things on their own. We like to compare like items. So what are we going to be looking at today? We are going to be looking at the DFY R1 Stroller versus the NUNA TRIV Next versus the Perego Vivace. So before we get started, if you have not yet, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. You can share this video with anybody if it makes sense to share it, because sharing is caring. We love that so much. And if it makes sense after watching this video that you want to purchase any of these items, head over to my website, destinationbabykids.com. I have a real brick and mortar store here in the San Francisco Greater Bay Area. I know everything about strollers. I've been selling them for 20 years. I am completely insane. I care very, very much about the differences. So we're going to be talking about a lot of those differences in this video. And like I said, if it makes sense, if you're getting inspired from this, I would ask that you purchase it directly from us. We can ship it right to you, right to your home. And if it also makes sense and you don't want to buy anything from us, but you're just inspired, you can go ahead and always do a super thanks as well, because we love that. Okay, now we're going to launch in. Thank you for my spiel. Let's go over these three fabulous strollers and what makes them so flippin' cool. Okay, so what are we looking at? Well, as I pointed out, we're going to be looking at the DFY R1. That's the one on the end here. That's the black and tan. The solid tan one in the center, that's going to be the NUNA TRIV Next. And then the one on the very end is the Perego Vivace. So why have I picked these three strollers to compare for you, my viewing audience? Well, if you know me, you know I am a big sucker for strollers that have a small fold. So these are great choices for all-in-one strollers that would make sense for traveling as well as everyday use. So frequently people are like, I want a travel stroller that does everything. The problem with those is the wheels and the ball bearings are not really attuned to daily walking. Additionally, frequently those types of strollers won't have a modular capability, meaning the seat doesn't reverse around to parent face. All three of these strollers are going to do that. All three of these strollers have very small folds, and they're actually in a pretty similar price category. So let's launch into the battle of these small folding, do everything, all-in-one stroller options. Okay, so DFY R1, the one on the end here, our price point is $650. TRIV Next currently is $800, and then the Vivace is $700. Your warranty. So your warranty for the DFY is a 2-year. Your warranty for the NUNA TRIV Next is a 2-year. Your warranty for the Perego Vivace, if you buy it from a small brick and mortar like destinationbabykids.com or Destination Baby Kids in person, you would get a 5-year warranty on this product. If you're buying it from Amazon, they're going to give you a 2-year warranty because they assume that nobody's demonstrated it to you, and therefore your likelihood of breaking it goes up. So you don't get the long warranty because they don't trust you, which totally makes sense. And I think it's amazing that they give that benefit to brick and mortar stores. If you can get out of your home and go check it out in person, strongly encourage you to do that. It is a very, very poorly understood stroller, but it is excellent. And Perego has been around since the 40s. So a 5-year warranty is actually meaningful from a brand that's been there since before most of us were even born or a thought or whatever. So again, Perego is going to be there probably even after we're gone, which is like horrifying, but family owned, and it is made in Milan. So the other two strollers are going to be made in China. The Perego is made in Italy. So again, with tariffs and things like that and prices changing all the time, nice to know we have some stuff still made in Europe that we can get excited about, maybe not having such crazy price fluctuations. So that's very nice. All right, our backrest on all three. So our backrest height on the DFY is 22 inches. The backrest height on the TRIV Next is 20.5. And the backrest height on the Vivace is 21. So it's a little counterintuitive because I would argue that DFY in many ways looks smaller than the other two, but the seat unit is actually very capable and has that 22-inch backrest. Now, again, something that's exciting is our canopy clearance on the DFY is 24 inches. There's a magnetic panel on the back of the DFY, and I'm able to pinch the canopy piece and raise that canopy up to accommodate a kiddo with a longer body. So of the three choices that I'm showing you right now, it's going to be the only one that can do that, and it's the only one with like a magnetic backrest on the back to be able to like adjust that so easily. So that's very cool. There was a secondary set of adjustment here for the harness adjustment. So we'll get to the harness differences here in a second, but canopy clearance on DFY is going to be the highest at 24. Our TRIV is 21 and Vivace has 23. So TRIV is for sure overall the smallest seat back and the smallest canopy clearance. So if you're a tall parent and you're gonna have tall, long-bodied kiddos, something to consider with TRIV is that the overall body length for the seat is gonna be a little bit smaller in the backrest and in the headrest. So if you've got a long torso, something to keep in mind. Now, our harness heights on DFY, it'll go from 12 inches up to 14. On TRIV, it's 11.5 up to 15, and Vivace is 10 to 15. Our seat width. So the Vivace has the widest seat. It's 12 inches. Makes sense. The TRIV is 11.25, and again, the DFY, because it's probably the smallest of the three physically, is going to be 11-inch seat width, and then it also has an 11-inch seat depth. Now, here's something different between Vivace and TRIV Next that DFY does not have. Vivace and TRIV Next both have articulating foot plates. So that means that we have a piece for the feet that you can see is adjustable on both of these guys. So that's a foot plate that can come up and down depending on what's most comfortable for kiddo. It also gives them additional length in the seat butt. On DFY, there is no adjustable articulating foot plate. This is not the end of the world for me because this product is so much cheaper than the other two. I wouldn't be surprised if there were little differences about it that help enable the cost to stay low. So that is not make or break for me because again, once their legs get long enough, they will come down onto the footwell. Now, something again that TRIV Next has that neither of the other two have is a heel stirrup on the actual seat component. So you get a heel stirrup on the articulating foot piece, and you also have an additional place for feet. On Vivace, we've got no heel stirrup, and then our foot plate, our piece down here doesn't have any plastic on it. It's just the fabric cover of an aluminum bar. So just little differences between them. Again, nothing's better or worse necessarily, just differences we'd want to call out based on the different price points. So something else we'll show here too is lengthened canopies. So they all have extremely nice option for long sunshade. My nephews all have red hair, so this is important to me. To be fair, I do have one nephew, my stepsister's son, who has beautiful chestnut hair, and his skin is a little bit more, like less likely to get burned up, but I would still want a big sunshade for him because he's darling, and the kids get the most sun exposure the first 2 years of their life, so we don't want them to get skin cancer. So anytime you can put a sunshade down to keep your kid covered, please do it, okay? It's not like a question of if you should. You should definitely be shading them as much as possible that first 2 years. Now, all three of these have a vent on the top for ventilation. So if you're walking around and it's getting hot, NUNA actually has three. So two on the side, one on the back, and then a fourth one if you count the fact that they have a removable liner that has ventilation on the back. The DFY does not come with the liner that you see on it here. I've put that on separately. I just thought it would help differentiate color, but you can buy it sold separately, and it is able to like shake it out to get the crumbs out of it. The only difference is if we took this liner off, the backrest of this DFY does not have a breathable liner like you get with NUNA. But what I will say is DFY by far has the nicest textile set between the three. Usually NUNA would get the highest praise for that, but I'd argue here DFY is a little more cushy and more comfortable. TRIV Next, I think they're maybe working on a different seat for the future, but currently it is a little bit more plain in terms of the type of material. However, certainly very comfortable, very beautiful, UPF 50. They're all going to be UPF 50, but again, nice feature set on that so that you know that they're going to be shaded and stay shaded. Now, let's keep going. The drop to the knee, so like our leg extension here, we don't have one, but the leg extension on TRIV is 6 inches and on Vivace 6.5. Our knee drop, so that's gonna be from where our knee drops all the way down, is gonna be 7.5. Here we've got 8 inches or down to 12, and then on Vivace it's just 11 going all the way down. Our crotch belt, or our crotch buckle depth. So this is the crotch buckle. How deep is that? It's actually pretty shallow on the DFY. It's 3 inches. It was very surprising to me. It's gonna be 4 on TRIV Next and then 4.5 on Vivace. your harness buckle. So again, the way that this buckle works on DFY is a plastic spring-mounted traditional buckle, but it is a puzzle clip. So I'm going to point this out. A puzzle clip buckle means that when I want to do it, I have to put two pieces together and then shove them into a third piece. Okay? It's not difficult, but some people hate puzzle clip buckles. So whenever I encounter one, I like to point it out to my audience just because some people are not fond of that. NUNA by far is going to have the best buckle currently, pretty much of anybody, because it's a strike down magnetic buckle, very easy to use. And as I pointed out, liner here is included in the purchase price, and it should be more one-handed than I'm demonstrating, but I've got an arthritic finger, so it makes it tricky. But very, very easy to use. And again, removable liner, so we love that. Vivace, it is a standard 5-point harness plastic buckle. Again, they're moving to a magnetic with some of their other products. I wouldn't be surprised if down the road they do change it to that. But something I'll point out is that the NUNA and the peg can both be used as 5-point, meaning you can do just the lower part and not engage the shoulder. DFY, it's not like that. DFY is more of like the travel stroller styles where it's a 3-point harness, meaning you've got to use the shoulders and the lower belt portion all simultaneously. You can't just use one or the other. So if you're using the lower belt, you're going to be using the shoulder belt on there too. Not a big deal, but just little differences. Okay, we talked about the buckle. Handle heights. So this is getting into some serious differences between these guys. The Peg Vivace has one handle height, okay? It's 41.5 inches. You can see here, it sort of comes up to like, not the mushroom, but it's getting up there. Okay, so 41.5 inches, it is not an adjustable handle height. I don't think this is problematic, and I will explain why in 1 second. There's things about the immovable handle height on this product that make it unbelievably superior in some additional ways, so we're gonna come back to that. But in case you're curious, it is 41.5 inches. It is not adjustable. We'll talk about why in a second. DFY and NUNA both have adjustable handle heights. Now NUNA, I'd argue, is annoying because it is an adjustable handle height, but it requires 2 free hands to do this. So if you're a one-handed person or you don't have dexterity in both of your hands, getting that handle height to adjust can be somewhat annoying. I wish it was a single hand. And in truth, they try and claim that this stroller is a one-handed fold. I would argue it is not a one-handed fold because there are 2 hands required to adjust this handle height, which has to be in a certain position in order for the stroller to fold and stand correctly. So while it can technically fold one-handed, in order to usefully fold, you do need 2 hands. So again, adjustable handle height, and that is gonna range in between, I believe it's 38 inches going up to 42.5 to your tallest. So 42.5 is your tallest here, whereas your regular handle height on your Vivace is 41.5. Okay, so let's just keep that in mind, meaning that like the taller a handle height goes, generally the more useful it is for consumers. I do like that this one can start very short, but again, that's generally not as important as having the tall handle height. So just pointing this out. And then on DFY, something that's very exciting is that it is a height adjustable handle, but it's a single hand adjustment. So I'm able to do this adjustment with one hand and spinning it. And another feature I like about this is that I can have my hand in the dead center when I steer. I'm also able to pretty much have my hand in the dead center of when I steer my TRIV Next as well. With Vivace, I can get pretty close, but there are plastic pieces on the center of the handle, which is part of the folding mechanism. We will go over that in a second. So you can do a one-handed steer, but if you have like minuscule OCD where you like your hand in the dead center, just keep in mind there are some pieces on this handle that would enable, that make that more difficult, and you'd be better setting it to either side. Okay, just little differences. So, the weights of the strollers, this is where it gets crazy. So it's hard to sort of understand this, but the DFY is by far the heaviest of the 3. So it physically looks the smallest, and I think it might have the smallest fold, but it's significantly heavier than these other guys, okay? So DFY is 28 pounds with the seat on it. Your TRIV Next is 22 with the seat on it, and your Vivace is 20 pounds with the seat on it. So Vivace is lightest weight, TRIV Next is second lightest, and DFY is the heaviest. Again, maybe surprising to people because it's a little smaller, but just something to keep in mind. Our basket sizes and capacities. So this again is something kind of crazy. Your DFY has a written basket capacity of 6.6 pounds. I put 20 pounds in there. I walked all around the store. I put a kid on the top. It did not break the basket. I will say that the stroller pushes much better when you don't overload any of the baskets, and that's true of all of them. And I wouldn't encourage you to overload the basket. But just in case you were curious, like, hey, what if I happen to have too much stuff one day? Would it still hold it? It definitely will. Just makes it harder to push. Our TRIV Next basket capacity is going to be 10 pounds, and our basket capacity on Vivace is 15, because obviously more is better, especially for an understorage basket. The basket size on your DFY is 13 by 19. Your basket size on your TRIV Next is 15.5 by 18. And your basket size on your Vivace is 14 by 18 roughly, but it does get wider as it goes toward the front. Our openings for the basket on the front of the R1, it's 7 inches. The back can be opened up all the way to 9. It does have a little gusset, so you can open that for a 9-inch opening, which is quite useful. TRIV Next, again, when you pop the foot plate up, you're going to get a front opening of 8 and then a back of 7. And then on our Vivace, it is the easiest to access the basket. So our opening on the front is 10 inches, and then on the back is going to be 11. So it's pretty awesome in terms of accessibility. So we love that. All 3 of these strollers will actually fold with the seat in caregiver facing position. So they all fold with the seat stroller facing, but I am going to turn all 3 seats to be parent facing or caregiver facing so we can show you that. Do they all have a sandal friendly brake? Well, Vivace does, meaning I'm wearing a sandal right now. I'm able to engage the brake and then unlock it without wrecking my toes. On the TRIV Next, it is not technically a sandal-friendly brake. However, I have to say it does pop up significantly easier than a lot of that style, so I don't think you need to worry necessarily, but just something to be aware of there. Let's make sure these are in frame. And then DFY is definitely sandal-friendly. Now, between these 3 strollers, only Vivace would let you do a standing, sitting riding board on the back. So if you're going to grow out your family for more than 1 kiddo, Vivace will enable you to do that. The other 2 strollers do not have riding boards, okay? So let me repeat. R1 and TRIV Next do not have additional riding boards. Another thing about all 3 of these, if you were looking for a travel bag for them, you would want to do the NUNA car seat padded travel bag. I have a video about that. It'll be on a list, but all 3 of them would fit in there, and that's your most cost-effective choice to be able to travel with any of these. Some of them might make their own, but I'm not even going to get into that because, like, my advice in this arena is more useful. So trust me, that's the best travel bag for any one of these. Sandal-friendly, one-handed fold. So let's talk about this, okay? Let's fold these guys up. I'm going to turn all of them to have a parent-facing mode. And something else I want to talk about is newborn compatibility. So DFY and Vivace are going to be special because they will enable you to be able to use these strollers without buying anything extra out of the box with a newborn. Meaning I don't have to put a car seat on the stroller to work it with a new baby. So my R1, which is this guy here, and the Vivace from Perego, they have a deep enough recline where the baby can just go directly in here from birth. And the other thing to check out is the sunshades when they're in kind of like a backward reclined mode. Because like it's one thing when they're sitting up, but how do they look when they're reclined? And both of these guys, I'd argue, have incredible sun coverage. I don't know if one is specifically better than the other. I mean, I'm sure it's Vivace, but yeah, it's pretty good on both of them, to be perfectly frank. And you've got the ventilation on both of them as well. Now, if we switch over to TRIV Next, difference with TRIV Next is not newborn compatible with the stroller seat. So I can turn the seat to parent face or caregiver face, and I can recline it, but it doesn't go flat enough to accommodate a newborn. A baby would have to be at least 6 months before you would put them directly into the stroller seat. So they include, when you buy this, a car seat adapter in the purchase price. So how that would look is you would remove your seat and you would put an adapter on, and then your car seat would click directly onto the frame. Now, if you are looking for an option that would work without an infant car seat for a newborn, out of the box, TRIV Next is not the answer, because TRIV Next would either need to work with a car seat on it for a new baby, or you can buy a bassinet. So they make a bassinet which has a stand. It's $400 additional, and that would be a 6-month solution for your baby. Otherwise, you can use your car seat as you see. Now, some people get frustrated because NUNA doesn't do any type of reclining car seat in the United States. And I do think that that's a reasonable annoyance. So if we're just talking about being even Stevens, I would argue Vivace and R1 are a stronger value for dollar because out of the box, they will recline deeply enough for a newborn. A TRIV Next will never do that, okay? So no matter what we do, TRIV Next out of the box won't work for a newborn unless we do a car seat or a bassinet on it. Now again, doesn't make it the end of the world, but it is already the most expensive of the three we're looking at. And if we're trying to be like cognizant of tariffs and pricing and that type of stuff and trying to get our like best bang for buck, just something to be aware of. Now, other differences too. TRIV Next between the three of these has the most annoying fold. And it's not a bad fold, but it does require steps. So like every time when I show this, I have a tendency to show it very rapidly in these videos and not explain what I'm doing. But since we're gonna be comparing all three folding simultaneously, essentially, let's talk about what's annoying on this fold compared to the other two folds. So when I fold my TRIV Next, I have to do a few steps. I'm gonna have to make my handle as short as possible, okay? Step one. And that's a two-handed step. So when people are like, it's a one-handed fold, they're lying. The first step is putting that handle down, and that requires two hands. The next step is going to be locking your front wheels flared forward outside of the frame. They can actually lock inside the frame or outside of the frame. You need to lock them outside of the frame. So go ahead and lock those front two tires into a fixed mode. And now I can collapse with one hand. So I collapse the stroller seat, I grab the middle piece, and it folds quite nicely, and it will stand. Now you'll notice it's standing on its handle. I have a lot of customers that are from San Francisco that when they see this, they're like, nope, that's disgusting. I don't want something that's touching the ground. So if you are looking for a stroller where the handle doesn't touch the floor, this is not gonna be it for you. It does stand on a nub. It doesn't stand on like the actual handle component, but just something to be aware of. Now our R1, let's talk about the fold here. As I pointed out before, the fold on this guy, I'm just gonna move this one over slightly. The fold on, I'll also point out that the TRIV Next is a little wobbly sometimes when it folds. Like you need to set it down very gently and not be rough with it, otherwise it'll just topple over. But I can make it look good because I play with it all day, every day. So you'll get used to whatever you have, but just something to be aware of. So our R1, as I pointed out before, I will go ahead and sit the seat up. You don't really have to, but it just makes it easier. I'm gonna go ahead and have the seat come down toward the floor. And if I give myself a little space in the handle, oh, and you know what else I'm gonna do? I'm gonna shorten this canopy down just to make this fold even smaller. I'm cheating a little bit, but it's right there, so it's very simple to do. Again, you have this piece come up, the whole thing will drop down. You make the handle as short as possible. You pull it, oops. There we go. We gotta make sure it's all perfect, otherwise it won't fold up. And I'm still getting used to it, so go ahead and pop that down. You'll grab the middle component and you'll see this guy stands, and it is a true one-handed fold. So size-wise, they're actually quite close in terms of folded size. And I do have the folded dimensions of all three of these, so we're gonna talk about that. See, this is what I'm saying. This thing, if you're like not totally gentle with it, it's a little jerk. Stand still. Okay, perfect. Now, the easiest of the three to fold, by far, always the easiest. Never makes me mad. Vivace. So you'll collapse the seat unit. Then that single hand fold. Just folds the whole thing up super small, as you can see, just like that. And when the basket's not kicked out, it looks a little bit tighter, but they're all very, very small, very lightweight. So again, your Vivace and your R1 will work for a newborn directly out of the box, whereas TRIV Next will not. Let's talk about these folded dimensions. Our folded dimension of the R1 is 26 1/4 by 21.7 wide by 13.5 deep. So 26 1/4 is this distance coming up toward the sky. Vivace is like 27. Oops, let's not get the cup holder stuck on other strollers. And again, that cup holder is sold separately. Vivace size folded is gonna be 27 by 20 by 14. So again, quite small. If you needed to like bring it on a train, any one of these fold down really easily for train travel. So if you're gonna do something like channel and you wanna make sure it can do on the side of the train really easily, you're able to do that. TRIV Next, 26 high by 22.5 wide by 12 deep. So again, they all fold very, very small, but that's R1's kind of big claim to fame, is that they have this incredibly small fold, easy to remove in and out of the trunk, all of that. But again, your lightest weight for sure is Vivace. And Vivace is the easiest to open with one hand because again, oh, here's another thing about Vivace. Remember how I kept harping on how the handle height doesn't change? It's the only one of the three where the handle doesn't touch the floor when it's folded. So the handle's up toward the sky. That handle's never gonna get disgusting, covered in feces, human or otherwise. Where are we? San Francisco. But just like things to be aware of, if that is something that mattered to you, nice feature set there. So again, Vivace, and all of these come in other colors. Perego makes their own car seat as well. So if you wanted to buy a Peg car seat to clip directly onto the frame, you could do that. I just didn't show it. I only showed it on TRIV Next. But like I said, Peg makes their own car seat that'll go directly onto this frame very easily. Our NUNA opens up kind of more, oddly. I've yet to find a way to make that elegant. But maybe that's just me. You know, I'm so bad with strollers. I'm sure it's me. I'm sure it's not the stroller. Not like an expert on them or anything. Yeah, and then our R1, I'm standing in the wrong way, so I'm gonna turn it around. And it does have a little carry handle on it, which is nice. Again, heaviest of the three at 28, but I've been working out, so it doesn't feel so awful. I will go ahead and kick those front wheels out, press the side button and lift up, and then have the seat come up toward the sky. So, all three choices are fabulous. All really, really strong value for dollar. All are good small folds, great city strollers, great everyday, everything strollers. Yeah. If you've got questions or you've got comments about any of these, please feel free to leave them below. The only other difference I can think of between these three is that like your DFY and your NUNA will have a locking front tires that swivel. Your Vivace swiveling front tires never lock, and it's because they're wider in the front and narrower in the back. So generally on that style of stroller, you don't have to worry about it. And as I mentioned before in a different video, the easiest way to think about DFY is it reminds me a lot of a Bugaboo B or a Mamas and Papas flip, armadillo flip. It's the easiest way to think of DFY, but you'd have to know a lot about strollers for that to even be meaningful for you. And as you can see, getting the seat unit on and off of DFY until you're used to it can be a little bit more work, but you do get used to it. I'm getting used to it, so hopefully it'll be more seamless in future videos. But go ahead and check out any of my other ones on DFY or any of my other strollers. Thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully we will see you in our next video.